What's good with y'all boys, man? We back with another One Piece video today, bro. We finna be talking about 1175, so if you ain't read the chapter, go ahead and get the hell on up out of here. Now, the title of the chapter is called Nidhogg, and we all know that is more likely referring to that boy's Loki devil fruit, so let's just get straight into it, bro. The chapter starts off with Sanji freeing Robin from the thorns. Now, we end up seeing that Sanji's fire from his Diablo Jamba can put out Somers' thorns, so people are more likely right considering that Sanji could counter Somers, but we gonna see later in this chapter that nigga Somers might not even be around for too much longer, you know what I'm saying? But Sanji comes in, saves Robin, but then they all start focusing on the roar and the haki that they're sensing on the island, which is of course Loki, right? Loki starts dropping the kids off and shit, and the Giant's trying to tell him, my nigga, it's not safe for you to drop the kids off here, and Loki straight up tells them, that is not my goddamn problem. I'm just dropping them off so they can get the fuck off my back so I can go do my thing, you know what I'm saying? And Luffy finally comes across my nigga Zoro. Zoro actually is surprised that this is Loki and shit, of course, because like most people, they have not seen Loki's fucking full-on dragon form, right? So yeah, Zoro sees Luffy and Loki, and then he tells them, can they go ahead and take care of the giant monsters, because if those giant monsters keep on running amok on Elbaph, they don't know how much longer they go have. But this nigga Somers, of course, I ain't gonna lie, this nigga Somers, all y'all niggas who been waiting for this nigga to get packed up, y'all probably enjoyed the fuck out of this chapter. I didn't dislike it, but I'm kind of tired of this nigga now, because I ain't gonna lie. At first I thought he was finna fight Sanji, but after this chapter, Sanji fans, if y'all still want this nigga to be his fight, hey, so be it. But we gonna touch on that in a second, bro, right? Somers gets ready to go ahead and try to kill the rest of the parents and or the kids. The kids are trying to save their parents from being killed while Somers is trying to finish them off. Somers makes like some serpent looking thorn things, right? And I'm assuming they got like some guns in their mouths. They're probably gonna shoot out more thorns, right? It's kind of creative how he's using his power to make this. These things actually have eyes and shit as if they're alive, so this actually looks kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, the way that Oda got this nigga using his powers right now really aren't even as, it's just the fact that he's butt, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, he getting all happy and horny that he finna kill the kids and shit. But of course, my nigga Zoro comes through and saves the fucking day. Sorry for my phone going off, I'm finna mute that shit. But my nigga Zoro comes in, saves the kids from being stuck by Somers' thorns, because of course they were gonna get hit by this shit because they were stuck in place and couldn't really move. And this nigga Luffy, first off, this nigga Oda, alright, you find a way to amaze me every single time when it's a new Luffy attack, especially in Gear 5, bro. So this isn't really even a new attack, but it's the way this nigga did it, bro. This nigga Luffy, first off, before he even does that shit, Zoro blocks this shit. He's blocked all the thorns. This nigga Somers gonna say, who is that? Luffy gives Zoro the most ultimate aura lob ever. He says, that's Zoro, that's a member of my crew. And don't you dare forget that shit, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Had to glaze the goat real quick. Zoro, I need my nigga Zoro to get a good fight this arc. I don't know who the fuck he gonna fight at this point, but we're gonna talk about that more towards the end of the chapter. Luffy comes in. He grabs lightning from the sky, just like how he did in the Kaido fight, right? Right? The same exact way. But he grabs it, and then y'all know how Luffy like twirls his arm when he's cocking it back for like a rifle or a Gatling in like Gear 3rd, bro, he's twisting his hand with the lightning in it, bro. And then he hits this nigga Somers right at point blank range. And mind you, Luffy's in giant form, so this is towering over Somers while it hits him. I'm probably gonna have the panel on screen. But nigga, he hits him with a booming Dawn Thor rifle. This shit looks disgusting, alright? I can only imagine how this feels, because not only are you just getting hit by a giant ass Gear 5 punch with Advanced Conquerors probably in it as well, or who knows, maybe Luffy isn't even using ACOG for this attack. He's just probably fucking around. But you throwing lightning into the punch at this nigga, this shit is just nuts. I mean, we already saw him grab lightning bolt with Kaido, but the fact that he's like doing it inside of his punches now is just getting kind of ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. Somers gets slammed by this shit and it knocks him the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? We're assuming he's knocked out. We don't really see him for the rest of the chapter after that. He just gets punched in the fucking face and then the nigga just start falling out. Alright? Now, we see that the kids recognize Luffy. They say they finally got to see Luffy's white form and he looks just like Nika. And they say they believe he is the warrior of liberation. Right? Now, I'm not sure if this is Somers saying, did you say Nika? That's all just a tale to scare the kids. I'm not sure if this is him on the ground saying this. I kind of want to assume it is, right? Because this nigga's on his back, and like, why else would, like, the Giants wouldn't be saying that because they believe in Nika and they fuck with Nika. So I'm assuming this is Somers, on this parent laying on the floor knocked out like this, right? Now, Loki, well, no. Everyone starts saying it's a real Nidhogg. We were really saved by that. So Loki's like, all right, it's time to bail. And then we see Scopper, Gabon, and Chopper. Now, Scopper Gabon goes into like a little bit of a flashback mode, and he starts talking about the devil fruit. So we can learn more about the devil fruit this chapter. We of course learn it's the Nidhogg fruit. It's the mythical dragon fruit. And now we get the breakdown of the size of the dragon is based off of course, who originally eats the fruit. Like most of us figured, every single person who eats the fruit is not going to be Loki's size. Of course, because Loki eats this bigger than most people. And this confirms that this is what is needed to bring out the full potential of the fruit. Now, that makes a whole lot of sense because we know if someone like Luffy or any other human type person was to eat the fruit, the dragon will probably be nowhere near as big, right? You probably wouldn't even be pushing Kaido levels of dragon form if a regular human ate that. If anything, maybe you're tying Kaido's dragon form as far as size goes. But for the most part, we knew most humans were not going to be this big if they ate this fruit. So I mean, I like that detail being thrown in there, but we kind of already knew that, right? And then we get another revelation with Ragnar. So Ragnar was protecting the fruit. That squirrel hammer thing, I'm assuming it's a hammer that ate a squirrel fruit. I don't know. I don't think it's a squirrel that ate a hammer devil fruit. I think it's a hammer that has a squirrel devil fruit, right? Y'all correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. But Ragnar was protecting the fruit. And Yarul says, in Elbaph, there is a legend about a god of war who fought with Ragnar. It is said that he took the form of a giant dragon and he locked horns with the sun god. He was accompanied by a loyal partner, the ice squirrel, Ratatoskr, right? So the ice squirrel is Ratatoskr, and we're assuming that the ice squirrel is the one. So we're going to assume that the hammer has the ice squirrel devil fruit. I'm just assuming throughout this video. Like I said, if I'm wrong, let me fucking know. So Loki got ice and lightning. His lightning is coming from his dragon form, we can presume, and the ice is just coming from straight up Ratatoskr. I low-key thought the lightning was coming from the hammer and I thought the lightning and the ice was coming from the hammer, but it seems like that might not be the case. But to make a long story short, Yarrow ends up saying that after the day that his original master died, the loyal Ratatoskr squirrel came to possess the weapon Ragnar, and it awaits his master's return, or so the legend goes. But it seems Ragnar is no longer acting as a guardian for the fruit's power and has made its choice, and it chose Loki. So another mythical zone ass fruit that's choosing somebody, and we see another giant ass spread of Loki and Luffy. Luffy still in giant form on top of Loki. I ain't gonna lie, this one at the end of the chapter kind of looks better. I wish at the end of it. Oh, my fault. I'm starting like a motherfucker right now, bro. My fault. I wish at the end of last chapter that they had this panel, because this doesn't look AI shop. Like Luffy is on top of Loki and he's like in a different pose. The end of the pose last chapter was clean as fuck, but that was Luffy's same Gear 5 pose when he went Gear 5 the first time. But anyway, all these monsters are like running away from Loki. We still see he is towering over all these niggas. Once again, we still do not see the full scope of Loki, bro. Like, even in these panels I'm showing y'all, we still do not see the bottom of this nigga's claws. Like, we still don't see this nigga's feet, none of that shit. Like, this nigga is just huge. Once again, all the monsters are fleeing. And I ain't gonna lie, at this point, Luffy even looks like he can rival these other Draugr monsters and nightmare creatures in size. But then this nigga Loki gears up for arguably one of the best Dragon Blast kaiju level attacks we've seen, my nigga. I'm assuming this is like a lightning-like blast, right? And he calls it Thrudheim or some shit, right? And then he just starts evaporating the fucking night. Like they're in half at the end of the chapter. And this is where the chapter ends. But before it ends, we leave off with Emu looking through Gumko's body and saying, so that is it. The Nidhogg was here. It was here all along. A quirk of fate. And now we got a color spread coming next chapter. And a cover story, right? No break next week, so that's cool. We're gonna be back in motion next week. Now let's talk about a couple things. First off, the end of this chapter. I don't know why this is giving me the sense that Emu is about to lock in. I'm not sure what he's gonna do to lock in, but now that he knows, first off, let's talk about this. How did Emu not know that this shit was here? That's my first thing. How the fuck didn't he know that? All right, I know it's probably a millions of niggas wondering how did this nigga not know that? Cause seemingly it seems like Rocks knew this fruit was here 100%. It seems like that nigga knew the fruit was here this whole fucking time. Cause he was talking to Harold, and we could assume the two fruits he was talking about that he needs to destroy the world, take over the world. The fruit he wanted Harold to eat was Loki's fruit, and the fruit he wanted to eat was probably either Luffy's fruit or maybe even Blackbeard's fruit. Who fucking knows? The second fruit is out of the question, but we know for a fact one of those fruits that he wanted Harold to eat was this Nidhogg fruit, and we can see why after these last couple of chapters. But if Rocks D. Zabek can figure that out, How the fuck can Emu not figure that out? Now, we do know Rocks has made multiple trips to Elbaph, right? And he's good friends with Harold, so maybe he could have just figured out amongst those things. But even then, it seems like before that, he had some sort of notion of what he needed to do or the type of power he needed to gain, right? And then another thing, Emu had Harold under his control. Does Emu not? Now, granted, we see some of it, and we see how quick Harold is like, no, fuck this. I don't want to be involved in this. Emu's taking control of my body. But it could be assumed that Emu wanted to get Harold back then because he knew they possessed a power like this, right? But we know in actuality he just wanted to use the Giants because the Giants wanted to be a part of the government and he could use them for their forces. But nigga, you didn't know that they had this crazy fruit along with them? Like, you just thought this fruit vanished into history and no one has it anymore? There has to be a reason on why he thought this or why he didn't know it was an Elbaph. I feel like we need that, because I ain't gonna lie, Oda has done a pretty decent job with Emu so far, like a villain that's brought in out of nowhere who really doesn't have too much of build up, but he's keeping the mystery and the lore about this nigga pretty smooth to the point where nobody can really complain. But now, certain moments like these, you be making Emu look dumb as fuck. That's why I'm saying hopefully it gets explained, because if this never gets explained on where the fruit, like, clearly we know the fruit was on Elbaph guarded by the squirrel thing, by the squirrel hammer thing. But why couldn't Emu go there? Why didn't Emu know it was there? Why does Emu have no trace of the fruit? Now, we know it's not like this nigga just got a devil fruit tracker on him or nothing like that, like a Dragon Ball radar. He ain't got that on him. But it's just like, how are you alive for this long and you have no type of like idea where the fruit could be located at all? That just kind of doesn't really make any sense to me, and it kind of makes Emu look stupid. But like I said, hopefully Oda gives an explanation for that. But the way this ending is looking at this chapter, it seemed like Emu about to lock in, because he doesn't really have a choice. I mean, everything is going way too good for the Straw Hats right now. They just defeated all these monsters. Just look like they just got obliterated by Loki's blast in one shot. And I saw a nigga in the comment section of my last video, the Usopp video, say that Usopp was going to help defeat these giant monsters because the monsters will regenerate. If that is the case, I mean, they're regenerated, but bro, what good is that going to do if Loki is literally one-shotting all these niggas at once with this giant-ass blast, bro? I ain't gonna lie, like, even if Usopp does stop the regen on these monsters, that's not going to be a good enough feat for him, in my opinion, for this to be Usopp's art. I ain't gonna lie. Also, I'm wondering where the fuck is Brook at, bro? We don't see no Brook this chapter at fucking all. We don't see no Frankie this chapter, right? We'll probably get that next chapter, because it seems like we're probably starting to build up to like the real moments of this arc, right? We've gotten the hype reveals, we've gotten the hype shit, and now it's time to lock in and probably get some fights going. And that's what we're gonna talk about now. Who do y'all think of the matchups are gonna be? At this point, I kind of don't really fucking know. All right, I thought Sanji was gonna fight Summers, but bro, is Oda really gonna make Sanji fight this nigga? Luffy just one-shot at this man. Now, granted, he's still alive and talking and shit, but nigga, Luffy just one-shot at this nigga. But the setup is clearly here for Sanji to fight Summers, not only with the beginning of this chapter with him countering his thorns, but then in general with Summers' whole thing of being cruel to people and specifically women. So, Sanji fans, if y'all do end up fighting Summers, we know y'all got this fight in the bag. Summers is a piss poor opponent. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, the only thing this fight could really do for Sanji is maybe boost his haki, maybe even potentially give him conquerors or some sort, because we know to take out the regen, you gotta just do an overwhelming amount of haki, like we saw with Roger and Garp when they defeated Diamond Reversey Rocks. So yeah, I mean, that's the only really thing I can see Sanji getting out of this fight, but I'm not expecting nothing to be too crazy with that. I'm more so hyped about the Emu and Loki shit, or Luffy and Loki versus Emu. I'm thinking that's probably gonna be their fight more likely. Now, what are the chances that Emu can spawn in something as big as Loki to help him fight? I'm not sure. We haven't seen shit of this nigga's powers. All we saw, he can diamond reverse niggas, he can pull out a fast grimoire, he can make contracts, and he has possession and regen. That's the main things we know about Emu. We don't really know too much about his power scheme. So for all we know, this nigga Emu could pull out a fat ass creature next chapter that's stronger than all these other niggas, and maybe it can be on par with Loki and give Loki a fair 1v1, and Luffy can fight Emu/Gumko, right? But for the most part, I'm not really sure how these fights finna go. We know it's gonna be Luffy and Loki versus Emu in some way, shape, or form. We're assuming Sanji versus Summers, but now it's like, all right, bro, since Luffy just one-tapped the fuck out of Summers, is Sanji really gonna fight Summers? Like, and I don't know. We still don't know who Zoro is going to fight. We're assuming Dory and Broggy, but now Zoro is down here with the kids, where Somers was just at. And I don't think we're near Dory and Broggy anymore. So I'm not really sure about that. All I know is it seems like Emu's about to lock in 1000% because things are growing way too good for the crew. So maybe after this chapter, he just goes on like a rampage on that night he knows the fruit is here or something. Or maybe we get into like some more lore. Actually, it's also possible the next chapter could be more lore based and we could just start learning more about the history of like when Emu first saw this fruit and things like that. Because clearly he's seen the fruit. That was my question for the last video. Has he ever even seen this shit before? But we figured he has because he's been alive for so long. So, yeah, maybe we get some more lore in the next chapter on where he's seen this shit before at the first time, how long it's been, and the history of, like, how he lost track of the fruit, basically. That's basically all I'm saying. But, yeah, man, this chapter was pretty decent. It wasn't nothing too crazy. I was definitely looking forward to this chapter like a motherfucker, but I mean, we got good stuff in it, but we didn't get as much as people probably would have wanted. The chapter fell a little bit short too, in my opinion, but maybe that's kind of because I read through it kind of fast. But anyway, then pretty much my initial thoughts on the chapter. But I just read the chapter like 10 minutes ago, so I came down to make this video and talking about it. Of course, like always, we're gonna do the prediction video since there's no break, so that'll be out probably like Monday, Sunday night, some shit like that, and it's probably gonna be up Friday or Saturday, something like that. But yeah, love y'all niggas, man. Hopefully y'all boys know the chapter. Hopefully y'all boys know the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out, bro. Peace.